He thought I'd cry when I found out, but I smiled because I was already 10 steps ahead. When I got the bank alert showing a $4,900 charge from Paris, under my name, I didn't panic. I opened the app, saw every single transaction he made over the last 48 hours and whispered to myself, so this is how he wants to play it. If you're already hooked, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because what's coming next is going to leave you speechless. He didn't just steal my money, he stole my trust. For 3 years, I carried the weight of our marriage. Bills, rent, groceries, even his car insurance. And every time I brought it up, he called me too sensitive or obsessed with control. He was smooth with his words, but he didn't know I had already started recording everything. Ammara, that's me. The quiet one in the corner at every family gathering, the one people forget to ask questions to. But I listen. And when things stopped adding up, like his sudden business trips, or his new obsession with cologne he never wore around me, I stopped playing dumb. He used my card because he thought I wouldn't find out. What he didn't know was that I had recently opened a second account in my own name, with alerts set on every single transaction. The same day he left, I also found the empty envelope where my emergency credit card used to be, hidden deep, in the drawer only I used. That's when I knew. He planned this. But what he didn't plan for was the tracking software I had secretly installed on his phone 3 weeks ago. He landed in Europe thinking he was free, that I'd be home crying. Clueless, powerless. But while he sipped wine under the Eiffel Tower, I was talking to his airline, locking the card, freezing his access, and preparing the one thing he didn't expect: a legal blow that would freeze his passport before he could even board the next flight. By the time he reached his hotel in Rome, the receptionist told him there was an issue with the payment. His face must have turned white when the card declined, not once, but 3 times. He tried calling me. I let it ring. Then silence. Then another call. I picked up and said just one line: "Enjoy your trip. It's the last one you'll ever take using my name." And I hung up. He had no idea that freezing the card was just the first move. What I really wanted was proof. So I waited until he sent me a voice note, begging, lying, pretending he accidentally used my card. That voice note? I forwarded it straight to my lawyer, who was already preparing the case. Because what he did wasn't just betrayal. It was fraud. While he wandered around Europe with barely any cash and no way to check into his next hotel, I filed a full police report. I attached screenshots, flight confirmations, card charges, and even a video, a small clip from our living room camera where he pulled the card out of my drawer while pretending to look for headphones. Oh, and did I mention? That drawer had a small sticker under it that triggered a secret motion sensor I installed months ago when things started getting weird. Every time someone opened it, I got a silent alert on my phone. He thought he was the mastermind. He thought he was slick. But while he was sipping champagne with stolen money, I was busy gathering evidence, tracking his every step, and getting ready to turn the tables. What made things even sweeter was how his family reacted. You see, they never liked me. They said I was too quiet, too career-focused, and lucky to have him. They'd laugh when he joked about me being boring, but now they were getting calls from him, asking for help, and I knew they'd blame me. Perfect. Because what they didn't know was that they were part of the trap too. His sister, Saba, was the first to message me. "You're blowing things out of proportion. He's your husband. This is embarrassing." I didn't reply. Not yet. Then came his mother. "You should have handled this privately. You've humiliated our entire family." That's when I knew. They weren't angry at what he did. They were angry because he got caught. What they didn't know was that 2 months ago, I had already discovered that they were all involved. It started with a random email, a travel agency confirmation addressed to Saba, but sent to my inbox by mistake, a $4,800 luxury tour for two. The names? My husband and Saba. At first I was confused, until I realized she was the one who helped him plan this. She booked the tickets on his behalf, knowing the card wasn't his. When I confronted her quietly, back then she laughed and said, "He deserves a break from your negativity." That day, I didn't fight back. Instead, I smiled and filed it all away. Screenshots, emails, recordings. Because I didn't want revenge in words. I wanted revenge in court. So when the police called me for follow-up, I gave them everything. And I added one more document. A notarized statement from my bank confirming that none of the expenses were authorized, not even the ones in Saba's name. By the time they landed in Paris for their next stop, both of them were flagged at immigration. His passport was held. She was pulled aside. And guess who got the call? Me. I let it ring again, and again. Until finally, I answered with a calm voice and said, "Tell your brother, I hope he packed light. He's coming home in handcuffs." What happened next? Let's just say, he thought the trip would ruin me. He didn't realize it was the beginning of his downfall. The courtroom was silent when Ammara walked in, dressed not like a broken wife, but like a CEO who had just closed a $1 billion deal. Her heels echoed on the marble floor, her eyes locked straight ahead. Across the room, her husband looked nothing like the man who once mocked her ambition. He looked smaller now, weaker. Saba didn't even meet her eyes. She just kept fidgeting, whispering to her lawyer, as if any excuse could undo what they'd done. The prosecutor laid it all out. The stolen credit card transactions, the travel records, the calls, the messages. Ammara had been careful, collecting months of evidence without anyone suspecting. Every detail painted the same picture. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was theft, fraud, and betrayal, planned with help from his own family. Then, something no one expected happened. Ammara stood up and asked the judge if she could say something before the sentencing. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She simply turned to the people who once laughed behind her back and said, "For years, you all made me feel like I wasn't enough, like my work didn't matter. But while you mocked me, I built something." The room held its breath. "I own the cybersecurity firm that flagged the fraud." "That's right. I didn't just report you. I caught you. Using technology I designed myself." Gasps filled the room. Her husband's mouth fell open. "I spent 5 years building that company in silence. I made my first $1 million last year. And guess what? I bought this house. Your house. 2 weeks ago when it was listed under foreclosure. I own everything you thought I'd lose. Everything you tried to destroy." She sat down. Calm. Unshaken. The judge nodded. "I believe the truth has been spoken loud and clear." Her husband was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Saba was fined and placed under probation for her role, but that wasn't the real ending. As Ammara stepped outside, reporters surrounded her. One of them asked, "How did you keep it all together?" She smiled and said, "Because while they were spending stolen money on vacations, I was investing in my revenge." Weeks passed since the courtroom victory, and the world couldn't stop talking about Ammara. News outlets called her the woman who turned betrayal into a $1 billion blueprint. Social media dubbed her Daughter's silent storm. But while the world celebrated her strength, Ammara was quietly planning her next, and most unexpected, move. She stood at the edge of a cliffside property she had just purchased. It wasn't just real estate. It was his childhood home. The one he always said he'd inherit and rebuild someday. She bought it in cash. And now she was going to demolish it. But before the bulldozers arrived, she invited someone over. Saba arrived cautiously, expecting revenge, maybe more legal trouble. But Ammara met her with calmness and a small envelope. "I'm giving you a choice," Ammara said. "Inside this envelope is a check, enough for you to start over, leave the country, do something with your life. But you only get it if you disappear and never try to contact me again." Saba's hands trembled as she opened the envelope and saw the 6-figure amount. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. Ammara looked at her, not with hatred, but with a strange kind of peace. "Because I'm done letting broken people steal my energy. My success doesn't need your suffering. I'm not like you. I don't win by dragging others down. I win by rising quietly." She turned, signaled the foreman, and watched as the house was reduced to rubble. As dust filled the air, Ammara slipped on her sunglasses, stepped into her sleek black car, and drove away. Not just from the house, or the marriage, or the betrayal, but from everything that had once tried to define her. She wasn't just a woman scorned. She was a woman reborn,